What is up guys, FeelMercy here and welcome to my GANODERMIC armor versus VIRTUS armor comparison. Now, GANODERMIC and VIRTUS are often comparable because of their magic attack bonus and the fact that they are both magic armor. However, there are some cases when the GANODERMIC is easily the best choice over VIRTUS, or in some cases VIRTUS is more preferred over GANODERMIC. Now, first of all, what you want to do is factor in the costs. Now, VIRTUS currently on the GE at the time of this upload is 142 mil altogether for the entire set, which is this one here. Now, GANODERMIC costs 4 mil in terms of flakes. It requires 7,000 flakes, and both last for 10 hours in combat. Now, to buy all the flakes from the Grand Exchange, this is factoring in the fact that you're going to be buying your own flakes rather than getting them from GANODERMIC beasts. It costs 3.976 mil to buy all the 7,000 flakes on the Grand Exchange at the moment. Now, VIRTUS, however, is always going to be a fixed 3.5 mil per 10 hours. That is if you go to Bob's Axes in Lumbridge. Now, if you repair your VIRTUS on an armor repair stand, dependent on your smithing level, if you're 100 smithing, or 99 smithing basically, it will be 1.75 mil to repair. So basically the cost of repairing VIRTUS compared to Gano is way under half. It's about 40% is the cost of repairing VIRTUS compared to the GANODERMIC, which is, well, it's 4 mil basically to repair GANODERMIC after 10 hours. Now if you work that out, per 1 hour of combat that you're using full GANODERMIC compared to full VIRTUS, full GANODERMIC it will cost you 400k per hour to actually repair, whereas VIRTUS, if you're actually a high smithing level and you're using on your armor repair stand in your player owned house, it will only be costing you at max probably about 200k per hour, which is half of the cost of using GANODERMIC. However, GANODERMIC is the best option in certain cases. So, for example, where the hell can GANODERMIC be used compared to VIRTUS? Well, first of all, let's take a look at the GANODERMIC stats. If you have a look at the GANODERMIC stats, it actually has the highest, the poncho anyway. Let's first take a look at the poncho, because the poncho is the main thing that people use GANODERMIC for. If you have a look at the stats, the slash defense is plus 150 and the crush defense is plus 150. Now this is the highest slash defense and crush defense of any plate body in the game apart from Dungeoneering. So if we compare that to the Torva plate body, like so, if you have a look at the Torva plate body, the GANODERMIC poncho has higher slash and crush and obviously magic defense than the Torva plate body. So why then would anyone be using GANODERMIC or VIRTUS, for example, over the GANODERMIC? Now the reason that people would use VIRTUS is for the life point boost. If you look at the life point boost of VIRTUS, as you can see my life points should slowly be going up. Come on, let's go to the 1. But basically VIRTUS, there we go, VIRTUS offers a life point boost. Now if you're wearing the full set equipped, the life point boost increases to 400, so I'll be on 1,390 life points rather than the usual 990 at max hit points. So these extra 400 life points is a massive increase. Also, it increases the amount of life points you heal when using Saradome in Bruise, and also the Unicorn Stallion Healing Aura Scrolls, because they are dependent on the percentage of players' life points rather than a fixed amount. And so that is where VIRTUS comes in useful. It's the fact that you can heal more. However, in GANODERMIC you are taking a lot less damage. So anyway, back to the GANODERMIC. The defenses are absolutely ridiculously high, but that is because of the extreme repair costs as well. So the main reason that people use GANODERMIC is for the absorb magic defense, which is plus 53. Now if you didn't know, absorption only comes into effect after 200 damage has been dealt. So as soon as 200 damage is dealt, that 200 damage is a certainty. Then anything after that is reduced by 53% if it's a magic attack and 24% if it's a melee attack. So if you're a corporal beast, which is where GANODERMIC is mainly used, then every magic attack that is hit on you after it's dealt 200 fixed damage will be reduced by 53%, which is absolutely massive. Now if you factor in the fact that GANODERMIC also has incredible melee defenses as well, if you are soul splitting and Corp does turn on you and whacks you with melee, the chances are you're probably going to be able to tank it pretty well. So there is one downside to the GANODERMIC though, compared to the VIRTUS, and that is the fact that it doesn't have that life point boost, so you won't be healing as much with the Bruise, and you won't be healing as much with Unicorn Stallion Scrolls special abilities. However, because you're receiving a lot less damage, you obviously need less Bruise. So if we look at the VIRTUS, The magic absorption on VIRTUS is plus 13%, which is 40% lower than actual full GANODERMIC, so you will be taking a lot more damage. However, if you are using VIRTUS, if you are thinking of maging solely and you are not taking damage, that is when VIRTUS really comes into its own. If you compare the full set of VIRTUS, it has plus 71 magic attack bonus compared to the full GANODERMIC's plus 60. So that is a significant difference in attack bonus, which will really help you and when you're trying to, really focus your magic attack on certain bosses anyway with high magic defense. Also, if you're at Castle Wars and you are taking a lot of damage, often people bring both VIRTUS and GANODERMIC, or often use a combination of both. For example, if I'm at Corp, what I tend to do is actually use VIRTUS robe legs and a VIRTUS mask. So I keep the amazing defenses of the GANODERMIC poncho as well as the massive absorption from magic, but I also get quite a nice life point boost as well. So ideally what you want to do is find a balance between life point boost and defense, which is what using a combination of both GANODERMIC and VIRTUS can actually do for you. So another thing that GANODERMIC is useful for example, places that you will be using GANODERMIC over VIRTUS is places like Corp, like I've already mentioned. You will also be using GANODERMIC if you want to mage Armadillo because of the magic defense, because you're going to be praying range the whole time, so you really want good magic defense. And we've also got some hippie running along past me, which is cool. You also want to be using it if you are tanking bandos. For example, the poncho is very good for tanking bandos. However, it does lack, if we have a look, range defense. The range defense is only plus 5 and the stab defense is also plus 18. So it has very low stab and very low range defense. However, they're not negative, so it's providing some defense. But the main reason that people do use GANODERMIC is for the defenses. Now, the magic attack bonus of GANODERMIC is actually superior to both Aram as well. So if you are using Aram as magic attack gear because you can't afford VIRTUS, which is 142 mil, so it is quite a lot, and you can't afford VIRTUS and you want that magic attack damage, if you're not afraid of spending the 400k an hour which it costs to repair GANODERMIC, then I would advise GANODERMIC if you are looking for magic attack bonus. However, the main difference between this is whether you're going to whether you choose VIRTUS or not, or whether you choose GANODERMIC or not. Basically comes down to whether or not what you're using it for. So for example, say if you're going to a boss and you need to tank, GANODERMIC is what you're going to be using because you want to save on your supplies. However, if you're looking to inflict large amounts of damage, for example at Castle Wars, you want to barrage. Apart from stuff like Battle Mage and the actual minigame specific armor, if you're going to decide to use magic offensive gear whatsoever, I would highly advise VIRTUS because it does have that extra magic attack bonus. So in terms of costs, repair costs, GANODERMIC is a lot more expensive than VIRTUS. However, VIRTUS costs considerably more. It costs 142 mil compared to the GANODERMIC, which costs 4 mil. So the GANODERMIC is a cheaper option. However, in the long run, GANODERMIC will actually probably cost you quite a bit more than VIRTUS, because after all, you can sell VIRTUS if you've fed up of using it, whereas once you've used GANODERMIC, you're constantly incurring the repair costs, which is, to be fair, 400k an hour is quite a lot, and that's going to significantly eat into whatever you're doing. So if you are at Corporal Beast, you're going to have to hope for something lucky, otherwise you're going to be spending quite a bit on GANODERMIC. But GANODERMIC, if you are in a team as well at Corporal Beast, if you're in a 5-man, a 6-man team, I would definitely recommend the combination of both, say, VIRTUS and GANODERMIC. The reason that VIRTUS is used over Pernix, for example, Pernix has better magic defense than VIRTUS, and it also is a next set, is the fact that if we have a look at the VIRTUS, there is no negative melee attack stats whatsoever in either stab, slash, or crush. Now this is important when if you're trying to melee and magic gear, you don't want any negative attack bonuses because it's going to affect how well and how accurate you hit. Pernix does have a negative attack bonus, so that is the reason why people don't use Pernix at Corp. So the best thing to do is, if you're in 5-man, 6-man teams, maybe even 4-man, is trying to use a combination of both VIRTUS and also GANODERMIC. However, if you are in like a duo, GANODERMIC is definitely the way to go. Often some people also substitute the GANODERMIC visor for a fighter hat or a Nate Snot helm, mainly because of the strength bonus, prayer bonus, and also that little bit of extra attack as well. So basically, to sum it up, if you want to be hitting more accurate, then definitely VIRTUS is what you want to go for, and you're not taking a lot of damage. However, if you are going to be taking damage, if you are getting piled in Castle Wars, if you are at Corporal Beast, if you are maging Armadillo and you are going to be taking a lot of damage, then definitely Ganodermic is highly advised. Ganodermic is also better than Virtus at places like Water Fiends. Oh, excuse me. Oh dear. Ganodermic is a lot better than Virtus at places like Water Fiends because of the magic defense. Again, the magic defense on its own, if we have a look. Oh, price checker. Go away. If we have a look at the magic defense on its own compared to the Virtus, or I can't compare the whole set, unfortunately. It'd be good if you could actually highlight the whole set and compare it as a whole set. But the magic defense on its own is plus 176 compared to the Virtus, which is plus 71. So if you want the magic defense, which Water Fiends anyway you pray range, if you want the magic defense, go with preferably the Ganodermic top and bottoms and use like a Slayer helmet, obviously if you're on task, or a Nate Snot helm, fighter hat, anything like that. That would be highly advised. So basically, if you are taking damage once again, use Ganodermic. If you're looking for that extra bit of attack combined with, say, an Arcane Stream Necklace and a Chaotic Staff with an Arcane Spirit Shield, which is what I tend to do, I definitely go for the Virtus. So, for example, if you're on Slayer tasks and you're using Mage, I wouldn't really go with the Ganodermics because it's got a ridiculously high usage in terms of costs, so you're going to be spending 400k an hour. And also the fact that it won't be as accurate when you're on task. So that is the reason why people use prayers such as Augury, because they want that extra attack damage, and that's what Virtus offers over Ganodermic. It offers that extra attack damage, whereas if you're on task and you're going to be taking a lot of damage, for example at decays, Ganodermic is very good because it offers them melee defenses as well. So anyway guys, I hope I've not been too confusing, and I hope some of you have understood what I've been trying to get at, that if you want to be more of an attacking force, go with the Virtus. If you want to be an absolute tank, go with Ganodermic. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little comparison. Again, I've interrupted my revision schedule, but never mind, the videos are gonna follow. So yeah, if you have enjoyed and have found this somewhat remotely useful whatsoever, leave me a like, and I shall catch you guys sometime soon. Take care.